Today we've got a special budget-friendly PC for all you gamers and creators. This is one of the best-selling and highest-reviewed pre-built PCs out there, but I'm gonna help you decide if it's really worth it. In this 100% honest and unbiased review, I'm gonna be sharing with you everything that you need to know about the Skytech Chronos gaming PC. In this video, I'm going to quickly zip you through the fun unboxing and what's included, take you through some of the most thorough gaming and creator benchmarks that you've ever seen, VR tests, design and build quality, the internals, thermals, fan noise, overall ease of use, pricing breakdowns and comparing it to its competition, as well as my top pros and cons. This model that I'm reviewing for you today includes an Intel i7-12700F processor, an RTX 3070 GPU, and 16 gigabytes of 3200 megahertz DDR4 RAM. I cover this machine very thoroughly, so I can confidently say by the end of this video, you will know if this machine is right for you or not, if you watch the whole thing. But if you still have any questions after watching this entire video, just shoot me a comment, and if you're publicly subscribed, I guarantee a personal response. But first, we're going to rewind back into the past a little bit and check out the unboxing. First, let's check out this small box. This is going to be our keyboard. On the back, you can see that they ever so kindly labeled all the combo keys for you. Let's go ahead and open it up. Pretty typical membrane keyboard, similar to what you'd find on one of the more expensive Skytech machines. Keys feel pretty nice. It's an RGB keyboard, so you know it's going to look pretty nice once we turn everything on. And then deep down in there, we've got our mouse. Pretty smooth matte black material that's pretty comfortable in your hands. Clicks feel really nice and high quality. The scroll wheel feels pretty good too. And then we got some documentation. Skytech Gaming. We've got a quality control certificate that shows all of your different inspections and testing that it went through. And then a maintenance guide and a troubleshooting guide. Looks like a few things dropped here in the front. We've got Asus dual band Wi-Fi moving antenna and our power cable. A super beefy power cable. The overall design of this computer, I think, serves the gaming community pretty well. The polygonal style of the front mesh leading into the RGB of the front fans, the balance of lighting effects throughout the rest of the chassis, and the mixture of white and black with animated LED strips defining the sides of the front panel creates a pretty aesthetically pleasing look. As far as connectivity, for the ports on the top, we've got a power button, a button for controlling your fan profiles, an LED button for cycling through all your RGB colors and animations manually, a microphone and headphone jack, 2 USB 2.0 ports, and 1 USB 3.0 port. On the back, we've got 2 HDMI ports and a display port, which honestly to me is a pretty useless waste of space considering we're always going to be using the HDMI on the back of the graphics card. Pretty much nobody uses the stock video out ports on a motherboard for a gaming PC. I would have much rather had at least 1 USB-C port here. There's actually not even 1 USB-C port in this entire case. If you have any peripherals that use USB-C, you're unfortunately going to need an adapter for that. Underneath that, 2 USB 2.0 ports and a PS2 port for older keyboard and mice, and then 2 USB 3.0 ports, some more USB 2.0 ports, and an Ethernet jack, your 2 connectors for your Wi-Fi antennas, microphone jack, and your line in and line out. And on the back of your 3070 GPU, an HDMI port and 3 display ports. To access the internals, first you need to unscrew these 2 screws on the top and the bottom of the glass panel and slide it out. You can see that overall the cooling system is designed pretty efficiently. Starting at the front with these 3 120mm RGB intake fans, that fresh air gets pulled in here, carrying the heat from all of the components back towards that powerful rear exhaust fan, where it then quickly gets sucked back out of the case. This massive heat-seek fan combo for the CPU right here in the middle works the same way. It helps pull that fresh air brought in from the front and pushes it through this heat sink where all of that heat from the CPU was spread out upon, and that quickly gets sucked out the back as well. To the right of that, we've got our 2 sticks of 8GB 3200 megahertz Kingston Fury Beast DDR4 RAM, and then beneath that, behind this M.2 PCIe 4.0 shield, is our MSI M371 1TB solid state drive. There's also a secondary M.2 slot right here in the bottom right corner if you want to upgrade your storage later down the road. But underneath that main SSD is the most significant part of this computer, and that's the ZOTAC Gaming GeForce RTX 3070 GPU. Kind of an odd alien-like design on this third-party GPU, but how it performs is what really matters, and I'm going to reveal what I found with that that here in a sec. And then at the bottom, our 650 watt Gamdias Helios P1 80 Plus Gold power supply. Plenty of power for what we've got going on here, but luckily with that being a modular PSU, it can be upgraded later. Hopping over to the side and removing the back panel reveals the back of the CPU, some brackets for mounting additional 2.5-inch hard drives, some intense cable management, and there at the bottom you can see a bracket for an additional 3.5-inch hard drive. Now price-wise, this machine that you see here currently costs $1,580. In contrast, similar inexpensive pre-builts like the iBuyPower Slate Mesh with an i7 and only a 3060 goes for almost $500 less. The HP Omen 25L with similar specs but with just a slightly less powerful 3060 Ti GPU will run you about $80 less than this computer for about $1,500. And another similar PC with a 3060 Ti GPU, this CyberPower PC Gamer Extreme will cost $300 less than the Skytech Chronos, with that costing only about $1,300. I'm comparing it to that one because I've had hands-on experience with it, but if you were to get the identical spec CyberPower Supreme, that would still cost you $100 less than the Skytech Chronos. By the way, these prices are subject to change based on demand and availability, so make sure to click on my links in the comments and description below for the most up-to-date pricing. The most important factor when choosing a gaming or creator PC though is the price to performance ratio, and we'll get to that here in a sec. Now getting into the software that comes pre-installed in the computer, we've got this Armory Crate app right here, which is pretty handy, but I did have some issues with it not working at first, but thankfully after reinstalling it, everything worked fine. In here on the dashboard, you can see our current CPU, GPU, and RAM speeds, and then over here on the right is where you can control all of your lighting presets to bring just a little bit more life to your case with some RGB animations. To me, Aura looked the best, but there was also some other pretty cool animations to choose from. Then you've got some handy fan profiles for you to choose from based on whether you're currently in need of quiet fans or turbo fans for lowering temps and maximizing performance during gaming or rendering. Then you've got current temperatures, usage percentages, fan speeds, and your current voltages. And most of these other settings are pretty much useless except for tools right here where you can see all of your drivers that need updates all in one place. Another app that came with this computer was the Signal RGB app, but I found that app to be pretty buggy, so I uninstalled it. There's also a bunch of settings that you can fine-tune and tweak from within the BIOS as well. This is accessible by hitting the delete button as your computer starts up. Only mess with these settings if you really know what you're doing though. Now as far as the onboard audio, this sound card produced better... What's that? So that just happened. I just lost my fence and my kid's trampoline because of my neighbor's tree. This sound card produced better quality sound than all the other budget pre-builts that I tested. So if you have any standard headphones already, they will sound pretty good here. But if you are in the market for new headphones, then I recommend the same USB headphones that I have, which are the SteelSeries Arctis Pro. They sound fantastic. No, they don't sponsor me. I just really like them. USB headphones are going to be more universal as well because they have their own sound card, so they're going to sound good in any computer. I also love the specific feature that it has that lets you control the volume of your own voice. Usually when you have loud gaming music or sound effects, you're gonna feel like you need to shout to hear your own voice, but not with headphones like these. They give you great voice feedback. I'll include links in the comments and description below on where to get these as well. Now when it came to the fan noise, these were my results after testing each of the main fan profiles. In quiet mode, it was hitting around 41.4 decibels. And when moving up to turbo mode, it brought the fan noise up to about 42 decibels. And when pushing all the fans to their absolute max at full speed, we got 44.7 decibels. I was very pleased with these results as this was quieter than all the other pre-builts that I tested in this category. Now for the thermals, you can see in our thermal imaging tests that we've got some, whoa, easy there boy, please don't eat me. Anyway, you can see in our thermal imaging tests as we spin around these 3 intake fans where the majority of the heat resides, the hottest point being directly above the CPU with the second hottest being understandably right there on the 3070 GPU. Much of the heat successfully escapes out the top, but the vast majority gets sucked out this back fan. I also did some extensive testing in gaming as well. These were our CPU temps for 6 different games at 1080p. I am definitely impressed that overall it had the absolute coolest temperatures, especially considering the fan noise was also the lowest. When testing the GPU at 1080p graphics settings in gaming, I also got the lowest temperatures here as well. And jumping into 4K gaming tests resulted in this computer pushing even further in the lead with the lowest CPU temperatures. The GPU was also still cooler than all the other other pre-builts in these 4K tests, but it wasn't as big of a gap as the CPU results. This computer also had a slightly more powerful GPU though, which means it pushes more power, which will obviously generate more heat. This is a testament to how well those fans and heat sinks dissipate that heat. Performance and gaming benchmarks. Listen up, because this is the most important part of this review. For Geekbench 5, we got a single core score of 1849 and a multi-core score of 13,023. Surprisingly neck and neck with the less expensive and lower spec CyberPower PC Gamer Extreme Prebuilt. For Cinebench R23, which simulates its 3D rendering power, we got a multi-core score of 21,444 and a single core score of 1864. Again, very close to the CyberPower PC, but way ahead of the other two in this category. Another helpful test for all of you 3D renderers out there is the V-Ray benchmark. And these were our CUDA, RTX, and overall V-Ray performance scores. This again proves to be a top performer with a performance score of 16,309. And if you use Blender, the real-time viewport GPU rendering will be the fastest on this machine by a long shot, but when it comes to the beautiful final CPU rendering, it was just barely in the lead, with the CyberPower PC being right there alongside it. Now 3D Mark, which is a great benchmark used to determine a computer's overall gameability, got an overall score of 13,885, a graphics score of 13,641, and a CPU score of 15,459. And this is how it did against the others. Because of the faster GPU, this machine scored quite a bit higher than the others in this same pricing category. Now for the main drive, the SSD that everything is stored on, I got speeds of 2.3 gigabits read and 1.7 gigabits write, which is actually kind of on the slower end of SSDs, but pretty much the same speed as all the other pre-builts in this category. Actual gaming benchmarks are probably what you guys care the most about though. These were our average FPS results that we got for several games at their highest preset settings in HD. You can see that it was majorly ahead of the rest on pretty much every single game, except for Fortnite for some reason. And jumping into 1440p, it was even further in the lead with by far the most FPS in every single game. And for only $100 more than that CyberPower PC that I reviewed, and only $80 more than that HP Omen 25L that I reviewed, that is well worth the much better performance that it provides. 4K, the same thing in every game except for Doom Eternal, where it significantly provided much better frame rates than all the others. And here's a more broad overall perspective showing the average of 9 games total that I tested for each of these machines at their highest presets at 3 different resolutions. The blue bar here basically shows you that you get about the same FPS at 1080p on this machine as you would at 1440p on a machine like this Skytech Prism 2 with an i9 and 3090. And surprisingly, this Corsair Vengeance with only a 3080 GPU was almost just as fast. This goes to show you not much is gained moving from an i7 to i9 or 3080 to 3090 when it comes to gaming. In my opinion, not worth it to get the top tier CPU or top tier GPU when it comes to gaming. Creative professionals would feel the benefits a bit more than gamers. And speaking of creators, here's a few Puget benchmark tests. For Adobe Premiere, we got 844, Adobe After Effects 1032, Adobe Photoshop 992, and DaVinci Resolve 1650. Basically fighting for the top spot with the similar spec CyberPower PC and doing just slightly better with DaVinci Resolve. Now, if you own a VR headset and you want to push it even further than just mobile VR games and unlock the world of PC VR with better graphics, then you'll want a PC with a great VR Mark score. And this one had a very satisfying score of 17,091. This was by far the best score for a more budget or mid-range PC. You can see that it's actually nearly as good as these 3 super PCs at the top with i9 CPUs and 3090 GPUs. That's incredible. Pros and cons. My overall top reasons you should not get this computer. Number 1 is the creative app performance. As you saw with the Cinebench R23 and Puget Benchmarks, this computer was actually slower on a few apps than the less expensive and less powerful CyberPower PC. If you need a machine for mostly creative work, then save yourself some money and get that one instead. I've included links in the comments and description below for that PC as well. My number 2 con is the price. Almost $1,600 crosses this machine more into the mid-range category for some people, rather than still being considered a budget computer. As you saw with the tests, the CyberPower PC was not that far behind for only $1,300. And now that iBuyPower machine is only $1,100, so $500 less. But also with that one, performance is nowhere near as good as this one. All of them are a better deal for your money though than that $1,500 HP Omen 25L. And my number 3 con is no USB-C ports. I found it very odd that there were so many USB-A ports and 2 useless HDMI ports and not one USB-C port. More and more peripherals are using the more advanced advanced USB-C connections as time goes by, so it felt like a step backwards to not have any. You could always get a small converter, but you shouldn't have to. Now, my overall top reasons to get this computer, number one is the performance. I was very pleased with how well this PC performed against the others. It dominated in pretty much every single game. My number two pro is the thermals. I really expected this PC with a 3070 GPU to actually run hotter than the others, but I was pleasantly surprised when it actually ran quite a bit cooler on most games. This is a testament to exceptional cooling. And my last pro is the fan noise. You'd also think that the fans would have to work harder to keep this computer cooler than the others. I don't usually compare RPMs to see how fast fans are compared to each other, but considering how quiet they were, that just shows you they were quite a bit more efficient. Overall, for this computer to be priced well and have the trifecta of quiet fans, cool temps, and exceptional performance makes recommending this computer a no-brainer. I'm a pretty big fan of the design as well. I'd get the CyberPower PC for mostly creative work, but if you're needing a computer for gaming, it doesn't get much better than this pre-built PC. Now, if you do decide to purchase this computer or one of the others that I compared it to, and this video helped you in any way, then please remember to purchase using my affiliate links in the comments and description below, as I get a small commission at no cost to you for every single purchase made. And it's a major factor in keeping this channel going and getting better and better for you. Or if you just want to support this channel and help keep it growing, then please consider becoming a channel member by clicking on the join button below. And I'd like to personally thank all of my members for their monthly contributions to this channel. I really appreciate you guys. Every little bit helps. And remember, every week I do a giveaway that randomly selects someone who's interacted with this channel in some way or filled out the form in the description. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe with notifications turned on to stay up to date with that, as well as staying up to date with all of my latest gaming PCs. And the winner for this week is
Diego L.
Thanks for watching, guys. I love you guys. God bless.